Hey people, in this short video I'm going to teach you how to read the ancient Hebrew Bible better than all these rabbis out here. And that's because they can't read it. They're going to go to school the rest of their life trying to figure out what it means, and they can't read it. They don't use the language because they can't read and write it. They memorize what they're told the Bible says. But all you have to do is look at these ancient letter meaning charts and just memorize these 22 letters here and their picture meaning. And so when I did it, I started with this more ancient Phoenician letters because the pictures are similar to the ancient pictures, and they're easier to memorize. So catch this while we're here. This is SPR. This is cipher. The secrets to open first. SPR, and they give this the meaning of book. And this is MOSE. And on this front page, they say that this means Moses, the book of Moses in the beginning, the cipher Moses Bereshit. But all the way through the Bible, they're not going to give this the word Moses. They're going to change it. And this is now going to mean the work, the art. And I'm pretty sure that's where your word mosaic come from. And what's this saying is the cipher from the wash, the colors, in the receipts. In the receipts are the writings that are carved into the wall. They receipt back into the wall. And you can see if you flip this around backwards, it's easier to read. You can see this is the BRASIT, in receipts, bear. And it was easier to learn with this style lettering, but I couldn't read it because it's missing two of the punctuation marks that's necessary. So here we'll start right here with Christmas. This is it talks about Christmas several times in the first 5 books, and surprise you where it comes from. But this is ingratitude. You see in your word Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday. The Mardi is the Tuesday and the Gras is the fat. And so this is the fat tit. The fat tit to the day. In the fat tit to the day. Ingratitude. And that's an ancient word, and it was written before. It was written before like this, and this is all these ancient gods. They have one big titty. They have a fat titty. Ingratitude, and they give an ingratitude, thank to the gods. And so you might say this if you was out to war and your buddy saved your life. You say ingratitude to you, in fat titty to you. You come home with me and you can sleep with my wife and you can have the side of the fat tit. You can come home and get mama's fat titty. So it's not surely you have driven me out today. And this day, it doesn't necessarily mean the day. It means the work's connected from. And so when you're working with days, that means the day. The work's connected from that day. And so in gratitude of the day, from all the pings had from life, from all the places. Ping is your positioning. When you're trying to find your place in the ocean, you shoot pings to lights and stars to figure out where you're at, your place. From all the places had from life. and from the ping to give, and from the place to give rights. RTSA. This is this punctuation mark, this A is the God letter, and so it means it comes from the ancient language. It's an ancient word, and it means to read it backwards. And so it looks like Easter here, the Aster, A-S-T-R, but an alchemist is going to read this backwards. He knows. And so it looks like it says from the panic of rats, and that might be where they got this, your face shall be hidden. But this rats is the to make the first mark the secret knowledge. If you're going to learn the secret knowledge, you have to find the first mark. You have to get your first position, your first place. Connect from the place to give rights, to give the first mark, the secret knowledge. And so you, and the ones that didn't quite understand this, they brought you down and stripped you and put you in a robe and had some blood sacrifice because they didn't know how to read this. Still goes on today. And so this to weigh itty, to weigh small. This is to the works of the itty, to small, and sometimes it's itty bitty. It's even smaller when it's got a punctuation to read both ways. To weigh small of the north end bears, the no and the ven. The ven is your expiration date. No ven through, no expiration date bears. Or the north, to make small, the north ven, the and is the cycle through. To connect the cycle through, the connected end bears. To weigh. This is if you were trying to break something down for sale and you didn't have scales, you would eyeball it, to eye it, to weigh, to weigh it up, to look at it and make a decision about it. To call, and this has the punctuation. This tells me to read the next word backwards first. And it's to make the yod, the hand, to make the ax maxi, to make the axis maximum. And this is the journey, the foot, the GNY, the foot cycles to make. It's a walk, to make the first journey. And so the first journey is this Christmas journey. And we can see it here. If you lay up and look at the stars at night, and you might get an idea that the earth is spinning. And so when we're here at the equinox, this is the only place you can have the sun totally black out. You have to be on an equinox, because when you're here, the moon's lower, and when you're here, the moon's higher. So you come around March, and you can have a total blackout. Sometimes it passes and don't cover, but everything has to get just right. And so and when you're here, you're equal. That sun comes up due east. If you're on the earth and you're rolling around, you're coming up from this side. You're back here at night and you're rolling around. And when you come up here, the sun's always due east in the morning. And then when you get over here midsummer in the June solstice, when the axis is mini, when you have the shortest distance between here, the mini axis, then the sun's coming up toward the north. You're rolling around, and when you're here, it looks like the sun is coming up more towards the north. And then come around September, it's back to an equal axis equal. And then come around Christmas, 1/2 here, it comes to the lowest point, and the axis is at the maximum angle. It's at the maximum distance here. And so this is where you get your word, the cross max, the axis maximum. This is where your word Christmas comes from. It was originally spelled with 2 X's, not just one. Cross maximum. So this last word here, journey, he who finds me will kill me. They had to change the Bible. In order to change certain things they didn't want you to know, they had to change all of it, to change that word all the way through. So we know we'll see this word kill again. It's spelled Jergni. So we can click on it here, and we can see it's only used one time like this, and it's 167 total with a different spelling, and most of them are used one time, and it looks like they all have the ERG in common. But if there's other words that mean kill, it looks about 80 different words, most of them used one time. So we'll go over here to 4:8. This is where he killed his brother, where it says Allah to lab the ball, which way argue. To lab the ball, this little line here means this is going to read backwards first. LBEBL, lab the ball. And lab, that means to shoot your dimensions. And then it's changed here a little bit. It starts with a U and ends with a U. And it says to weigh argue. It doesn't say he killed his brother. It says to lab the ball to which. This starts with an A. It reads backwards. W-I-H. Chet. Which. To argue. To which way argue. So argue is this is the ancient sign of argue. It looks like a sign of a symbol of argue today. 2 people holler at each other, and you can see it's a symbol for the journey of Pisces here, in the spheres to merge with the spirit, the journey of the spheres to merge. And so to lay argue is an ancient term, and some people might still use it today. People who build floor people use a stick to measure a lot, to find their centers instead of a tape. But if I told you to lay argue on that wall, it means to start, if you have just one stick and it's maybe 4.5 times wider than the wall about, and you would take a measurement once, twice, and you would lay a mark. You would lay an arc. Use that stick like it was a compass. Then you would do that again on the other side, once, twice, and you would lay a mark. And this is called to lay argue. This is the symbol for argue. And if you wanted to get the exact center, you could do it with that stick. You can get it down to the hair just by going to your 2 argue points on the ground and standing that stick up straight and lay another argue up here, and it'll give you an X. And you drop a plumb bob down from that X, and it's going to come dead center. And so with just a stick, you can get the dead center accurate measurement of anything. It's called to lay argue. And like I say, floor people do it back before tape measures. Everybody did this. And somebody might lay a symbol on the front, and to show everybody how long their dimensions were to work in that house. Usually the floor man's the only one that mattered. But that would mean to lay argue. So it's to learn the bind, to bind the knowledge, to lab the ball, which way argue. So to lab the ball, this girl got about a 15-minute flick, and she give you an idea how to use this astrolab and lab ball, and it does many more things, and all the magicians and astrologers carry this. I'll see if I can leave a link for it. But it says to yammer, to communicate, not necessarily to talk, but communication, to make the knowledge from to begin, to yammer final, to lab the ball, which wage, to make the work the wage, which wage in the Jew time. The Jew time means to the works connected time. In the Jew time, inside, to make come the final, to make the last, to lab the ball, which to make argue. So it's telling you to take the measurements of the Christmas sun, to get your calendar just on date. So it goes on more in Genesis 4 and talks about how to adjust the calendar, and then here in Leviticus 25:28, it says, connect the AM to the morning of law, and that's one of the words given the meaning not, and it means to bind knowledge. L's the bind knowledge, and they don't want you to learn, so every time it teaches you something, it given the meaning not. But to connect the morning, to learn, and you see it's got the sign again, the Ax Maxi, the Christmas crossing, to ID, the identification, the hand connected, the ID to the day, to make the duty. This is your duty day. You don't know liberty today. Your duty to ID to the day, this work in, the fires to make in, the Lu, the helper, the bind to weigh from the maker to bid the fiend. And you see, that's pretty much English, and there's no reason for them to have to interpret this as what was sold in the hand of him who bought it, because it's more says the maker to bid or into the hand of the fiend, one that must have it. And they're trying to hide the meaning of a lot of these words. They don't want us to know what this is about. And so the maker to bid the hand of the fiend, and what to God sent the jubile. This OD, this is the ancient Celtic word for God. God sent the jubile, to make cross the knowledge, to Jaxa, to make cross the knowledge of the Bibles. They say this is Jubile again, but it's different. It's Bibl. This is Jubl or Iubl. This is Bible. And there's many Bibles. To make cross the knowledge, the Bible to use in, which one to use. And then his possessions are the law of has to. And sometimes you'll see this backwards. This is one of the God words. It'll be without the L. So you start with the A, and it's what's he, what's has, what's his. The law of what's his. When you see it with a hyphen like this, it'll read both ways. The law of has to what's his. That's your possessions. We see these words again here in Leviticus 27:21. The they, to I, to weigh, or to weigh, that to look carefully, That's where your word survey come from. Su, you, to vey. To vey the side, to look at the side in the Satu Bible. That's where your word Saturn and it's a bridge. It's a Satu. A Satu is anywhere in cross at. It's and this is a Satu. It's where you cross the water. And this is the Satu, the cross of Satu. This is also a Satu. This is a Satu port. It's where you cross through in the city. You cross through different parts of the city through the port, or you come in the main port through the city. And your marquee will be in there. You go read the marquee and see the laws of the town inside the Satu. Everybody should know, because if you're there, you came through the Satu port. So to vey the side of the Satu Bible codes, to live, the codes to live, cased in the charm liken the tie what's his. And so the tie what's his, the tie what's Saturn, Saturn's tied to the cube, Saturn's tied to black, he's tied to Pisces, he's tied to lead, to 82, and he's tied to the sapphire. That's the stone of Satu. And these codes used to be here, and somebody removed this. They didn't want us to know this stuff. Sometimes these punctuation marks make it easier to read, and it kind of lets you know that this is ancient wording here, because this is read forward and backward. They had a lot of time to think about it. And so what this says is ULSOR, to lesser the hexer from sack. And the hexer, he's the divide plants first. He's a beginner at dividing plants. The hexer, he knows how to cook up some drugs, and he's more interested in making money than he is curing people. So to lesser the hexer from sack, the kiss from the drugs he rustled to. The kiss, to give secrets. It's all reading backwards now. To give the secret from the RXHE, the drugs he first see, RO, first see, sell to, SLU. And so there's all kind of ancient knowledge, and to keep us, if your buddy was sick, this was the first book you went to help your buddy out. If you wanted to run a kingdom, this is the go-to book. If you wanted to become God and own the whole world, this is the book to teach you how to do it. This was your go-to book. And it seemed like there was a war a long time ago, and we won the right to have this, and so they came back to change our language. And this is 2 verses away, and you can see that line's here again, and it's longer this time. So it starts with the A. So we read it backwards. It says care, K-R-A, to care, to whomever so care. The hexer may, M-A-E. Care the hexer may in aim where hub, W-R-H-B, where hub. And then read it backwards from here. Bear, B-H-R-U, where hub bear to. The mob, the M-A-B, the mob of the A-M, the morning. The drugs, R-X, he, the drugs he care. To care the hexer may in aim where the hub bear to. The mornings are the mob of the mornings, drugs he care. So the people, the mob in the morning, everybody going to work in the morning, he's going to go to the hub of the city where that mob is going to show up, And he's going to sell them the morning drugs, coffee and donuts and cocaine and whatever gets you up ready for your day. And the Bible's full of this short knowledge packed when you see these little lines like this. And then it'll go on after this, and it says the chemism in the chemistry. To fume. This usually goes with rise over here. To fume the chems, the CH, the chet, MS, the chems. Starts with an A. We're going to read it backwards. To mass, TUMASS. To fume the chems to mass from Caesar. This is the S. There's two S's, one for secrets and one for fires. And this is the one that evolved into our C mostly. From Caesar. From the fires to cut first. From Caesar to Adon. This is a word given Lord. Adon. And this means it's also when somebody was adorned a Lord. You know, I dub thee Lord. And it gets tapped with the sword on his shoulder. This is the word for it. To adorn them, knowest. From Caesar to adorn them, the knowledge. And so Caesar isn't what we think it is either. Caesar's a list of hidden writings that go with this. Alright, I'm going to cut this off. It takes twice as long to load this as it does to make it. And I'll catch back up with it next time. But I'm gonna go to this Genesis 4:1, and I'm gonna show y'all what I'm gonna show y'all this. I'm gonna show y'all this. This is I don't know the name of it. I've never done it. This is the wedding vows of Adam. This is how 4:1 starts. It's not too vulgar. But it says, we had from I do, IDO. We had from I do, to, and if you didn't know the alchemy, you would just read this through. To have a stew, to have what's moving around. What led to chin, or to Cain, to Tamer, finity, forever. Say to you. But if you put the alchemy in there, it reads a little different. It says we had from I do the identity to see. We had from I do to, and we read this backwards first, the connected to have, the to you have, and then this starts with A, so it's what's suit her. So we're had from I do to have what suit her. What led to knee chin. This is read backwards. Knee chin. That's to lead knee chin and Tamer. That's what Eve was taught by the serpent. He taught her how to create babies. To knee chin. To Tamer. To Tamer finity. Say to Eve you. So this is Adam's wedding vows. All right, good day, folks.